Hello there, one and all, and welcome to episode 303 of Love at First Sight with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube, and at a slightly different time from the kind of time that we normally do, which means that I get to say something I don't say very often. Good evening, Australia. I don't know if anybody's actually going to be bothering to tune in from Australia today, because normally the times that I choose for my live broadcasts are not especially friendly to the Australian audience. But if there is anybody from that part of the world watching, I think it must be sort of like 7 p.m. there or 8 p.m. Then you're very, very welcome. Thank you very much to everybody else who has tuned in. First comment goes to Culture and Science. Cool handle, saying hello. James says hi, Mr. P. And Shimon is here as well, saying good morning, Dzień dobry. This is so early, says Adam. Hello, Mr. P. Yeah, well, I thought we'd sort of shake up the time zones a bit, and this time seemed to work well. We probably shouldn't always stick to the same times, but of course, none of this means anything at all to the vast majority of you, and by that I mean the people who actually watch the recordings. Because those of you who tune in live, even though it's great that you tune in live because we get to have the interaction, you do make up quite a small percentage of the overall audience. But never mind, we're going to stick to doing the lives. And for the benefit of those of you watching live, the plan for today is that we're going to probably do 3 videos back to back, certainly 2, but fairly short form ones. Looking at specific things. Seem to be plenty of people tuning in live, actually. Yura says, lovely t-shirt. It is like an olive dipped in licorice fondant. I often think of myself as an olive dipped in licorice fondant. That's a brilliant description, though. And yes, I'm a fan of this shirt. Oh, my goodness, says Joe. Caught you live despite me working at home, thankfully. Shh, you won't tell anybody. Good afternoon from Singapore, says S. Umar. Thank you very much for tuning in. And Rachel is saying, oh, I'm catching another live. Nicolai is possibly my favorite house. Okay, we're going to smell this new one from Parfum de Nicolai, but I should also very quickly say that if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do consider doing so, and also click on the little bell so that you get notifications of new videos as and when they arise. Gian says, Nicolai, fabulous house, looking forward to this. Love New York Intense, Vie de Chateau Intense, and Patchouli Intense. And then Rich says, licorice fondant sounds rancid. I was personally thinking that the thought of olives with licorice is not exactly the best thing, although licorice ice cream is quite a revelation. Okay. Not a house to which we give a huge amount of attention, very, very unfairly so. I would imagine that most of you watching this video are aware of the Nicolai perfume brand, the perfume house, but if you are not, then make your way to a sample set without delay. Excuse me, because it is without any question one of the finest independent perfume houses out there, and it has been around for quite some time. We won't get into a long history lesson today, but Patricia De Nicolai, who is the perfumer at the brand, has Guerlain blood flowing through her veins, and she is an extremely important and influential and prestigious figure on the French perfume scene. She has for many years had a very prominent role, a very important role at the Osmothèque, which is the sort of repository, the archive of old scents. So hugely important figure, and which is relevant to today, an extremely talented perfumer, and really probably one of the greatest perfumers working at the moment. And yet we don't hear enough about her. Now, is this because she just quietly does her own thing, doesn't attract a huge amount of attention to herself? The brand doesn't release tons and tons of perfumes a year. The one that we're going to be talking about in a moment, Riviera Verbena, I think is the only new thing that they've released this year. I think they also released a hair mist of an older perfume. And so they're just quietly well, dancing to the beat of their own drum, right? Which is how we like it. But I guess the consequence of that, I've just seen Natalia's comment, licorice ice cream, are you mad? It's amazing, trust me, if you get a good one. The consequence of the fact that they don't release a lot of things is that they sometimes get drowned out by the shoutier, louder, more brash brands that, you know, seem to release 5 perfumes every month. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Is there an olive ice cream, says Yura? Yes, there is. Okay, we need to do this tangent. If you ever find yourself in the south of France, if you find yourself close to Nice, then go to Nice and find an ice cream parlor called Finocchio that does fantastic normal ice cream flavors like, I don't know, chocolate, vanilla, raspberry, but also a superb array of really, really unusual ice cream flavors, including that they do an olive, they do a licorice, they do an avocado, and also a little bit more spread out across France if you come across an ice cream brand called Terre à Délices. Unbelievable. Their blue cheese ice cream, I kid you not, okay, blue cheese ice cream was something out of this world. But we really need to get on with this. So this is a sample that I managed to obtain a little while ago. I'm not planning to talk about New York, by the way, but I've put New York here, number one, so that you can see what their full bottles look like, because I don't have a full bottle of Riviera Verbena, and also to have it here because it's probably their most famous scent, their most lauded scent. Again, if you haven't tried it, and if you are looking for just a supremely sophisticated, smooth, slightly old school, resinous, ambery scent that veers more towards masculine codes, then you need to have New York in your collection because it's brilliant. But anyway, for today, Riviera Verbena from Nicolaï. I guess they released it as a summer scent, so maybe we're a little bit too late talking about it, but doesn't matter because I'm sure it'll be around for a while, and we don't have to just wear summery scents during the summer, do we? I have had an initial sniff of this already, and I just immediately thought, wow, thank goodness we still have Patricia De Nicolai making sense, because she, not only is she extremely talented, but she seems to be really brilliant at reinterpreting citruses and making us smell citruses in ways that we hadn't thought of smelling them before, and bringing a new twist to them, and just making us reappraise them. So Riviera Verbena, you would imagine it's going to have a strong verbena note, and it does, and you would imagine it may have something of the spirit of the Riviera, and it does. So here we go. I've just sprayed this. Now, if you do get a sample of this and you spray it, do not be put off, seriously, do not be put off by what you get an initial blast of, which is, I'm going to try and say this quietly towards the mic, cologne. Okay, you do get an initial blast of cologne. For those of you who don't know what cologne is probably one of the most commonly used materials when perfumers want to evoke the scent of the sea, I suppose, a marine, aquatic, ozonic. I'm saying all of these trigger words here, okay? Because that initial whiff fades away very, very, very quickly, and it's not as pronounced on skin. And cologne is an extremely important material, right? We do have it in the perfumer's palette because it serves an important function. Unfortunately, a lot of the time it is overused, which is when you get those, in my case, quite sick making, kind of like sucker punch ozonic marine feels. But you don't get that here because we're dealing with Patricia De Nicolai. And after that initial burst, you just completely get swept away to the Riviera, which is great for me because I was there not that long ago. And I'm there again, hearing the waves crashing onto the shore, seeing the pine trees on the Cap d'Antibes in the distance, hearing the sound of the wind, feeling that kind of citrusy freshness that seems to be carried on the air. There's a lot of fig smells in that part of the world as well. Not that I'm getting a huge amount of fig here, although green isn't a million miles away from aquatic ozonic. Another little tangent, sort of. A few people I notice have been mentioning Baikal leather from this brand. In fact, Rich Mitch says Baikal leather is my favorite Nicolaï too, but I don't really like most of the stuff from the brand. Now that's fascinating because the Baikal leather was one that I didn't fall in love with instantly. So maybe that's a bit of a kind of dividing line amongst Nicolaï aficionados. Maybe you either like those sorts of, to my nose, slightly harsh leathers that she makes, although maybe I didn't give it enough time. And then there are those of us who like the should we say, the more classical stuff that she makes. There you go. Gian says Baikal leather feels a lot more modern than her other offerings. Interesting. Maybe they're trying to do something different. Verbena obviously has a citrusy, lemony quality to it, but also something minty, sharp, tart, biting. And so somehow this fragrance, through Patricia De Nicolai's skills, manages to convey the relaxed quality of being on the Riviera, wandering very, very, very slowly along chic, sophisticated streets, stopping for a coffee now and then. But also, it's a curious type of energy in that part of the world, because yes, it is relaxed, but it isn't completely horizontal. You get the noise from the beach. You get, as I say, the sound of the waves crashing on the shore. You do get that kind of energy that is unavoidable when you are in a sunny place. So I guess you get a buzz, a relaxed buzz, if such a thing is possible. She likes a bit of mint, says Rachel. Yes, I think she does, actually. We've got a tiny little bit of a blurb here. I mean, I was just so taken with this. A few years ago, when she released Cap Neroli, which was another great summer scent, I wore that a lot over the summer because I managed to get, I think, like a 10 or 15 ml bottle. Had I had this at the beginning of the summer, I absolutely would have worn it to death, I think. Because there's a weight to it as well. Maybe there's patchouli in the base. It's not just a quick, fleeting cologne type scent. So what does it say? Very, very brief blurb. Head to the French Riviera for a stroll in the lush gardens of the Mediterranean on the first sunny days of spring. Oh, interesting. So they're saying spring. In the shade of palm trees, the dazzling freshness of lemon mingles with fresh mint leaves and lemongrass. It is in this colourful picture that a green and slightly acidic verbena emerges, deliciously acidic. The sea spray, joined by the scent of thyme from the scrub and a delicate fragrance of jasmine, splashes it at the water's edge. This is when you know you're dealing with a seriously good brand, okay? Because you read this description and you go, yeah, tick, tick, tick. That is actually what we smell in the perfume. No marketing BS. That is what you get, which is brilliant. Riviera Verbena is a radiant, luminous, and invigorating breeze. Yeah, absolutely agree with radiant and invigorating, whose natural elegance is faithful to the Nicolaï signature. Natural elegance is a good term to describe the brand. Years and years and years ago, they did another summer one called Weekend à Deauville, and did that. I think maybe its name got changed to Deauville for some reason. I don't know if it's still with us, that scent, but that was another beautiful, naturally elegant, effortlessly elegant. There's an effortless chic to the brand. And according to this, again, the notes are, so at the top, we have got lemon essence, some mint, thyme, and chopped herbs. Then in the heart, apparently, there's the verbena, some cologne, some jasmine, and some rose. And then in the base, vetiver, patchouli, and musk. Just superbly done, superbly done. And if I could add maybe a 30 ml bottle to my collection, if it wasn't too outrageously priced, then I would absolutely be doing so. Before we finish, let's just quickly look at what you have been saying about it. Smoke C says, I'm not a fan of Baikal leather much either. It must be a dividing line since I love most of their other fragrances. Interesting. Perhaps we've hit on something here. Andre says, I own New York, and I never know how you say the name of this one. Is it Carré d'Art by this house? I love Bois Belize Intense for the summer. Now, Bois Belize, I believe, is a Paris exclusive, but I could be wrong. The amber room spray is amazing, says Woozy. Oh, and good question from Woozy. Is it an eau fraiche or an EDT? It is an EDT. It's an eau de toilette. And the 30 ml bottles are perfect, says Smoke C. Couldn't agree more. So, very, very, very definite thumbs up from me for this one. It's just such a smile inducer. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode. And if you are sticking around for the lives, then just give me a couple of minutes and we will be back very soon. But for now, take care. Bye.